Right, hello again, everybody. I'm back, and I do like wearing my dark clothing. It's just sort of a little bit of a thing about what I do in weeks since. Right, so the reason why I'm doing this video after I think this must be nearly like the fourth or fifth day in a row I've actually done videos back to back to back, but the significance about this video is that I'm actually going to demonstrate to you guys how quickly things change. Because for about the last 4 days, I've been receiving a series of spam phone calls, all from the same number, all claiming to be from a job website about some recruitment agency about delivery drivers. I've received approximately six in the last 2 days, and every time, well, when I do actually manage to answer the phone, there's nothing but a load of noise in the background. Then somebody asks me, "Hello, can I speak to blah blah blah?" I ask who it is. They sort of don't really answer the question. They go, blah, blah, blah. I tell them, "Oh, is this from blah blah blah?" And then they immediately hang up the phone. You can tell almost instantaneously the sort of people you're dealing with when their first port of call is to immediately hang up the phone. Because in my opinion, I thought scam artists, if they were really after your money, no matter what the cause may be, they would actually want to see it through to the very end. But apparently these jokers are so completely out of this is what you need to do, by the way. And well, for it's just one other way of just deterring these people is that you ask if they're calling about something else, and they will either hang up immediately, or they will be so unconvincing the things they try to play along, because then you start asking them questions that you know for a fact that they simply cannot answer. Like, oh, so you thought a little. Okay, so did you think? What did you think about what I sent you yesterday? And then they are completely stumped. Yeah, it's an interesting tool, and I've done it several times myself. But here's the thing: even though things haven't really changed that much since the last few days, I must be honest when I say I feel better. Honestly, I don't know if it's just because I've slept on it. I say slept on it. It's nearly 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but I've been busy with other stuff throughout the day. But it's interesting that I feel good. I feel all right. It's one of those feelings where you know things will seem incredibly bleak and with no hope in sight one day, and then the very next day you actually feel a little bit indifferent. You feel all right actually after a few days, which you know what, call it what you may, ladies and gentlemen, but guess what? I would rather have at least 2 or 3 bad days if it means the day after that is a lot better, even if nothing technically great happens during that day, just as long as it's better than the others in any sense, is actually really, really good for morale. Speaking of good for morale, um, part of my job application, well, things that I have actually signed up for example, seasonal work with the Royal Mail coming up. Usually these things actually start, or at least they start to hand out, your start dates by either the end of October or about like the second or third day into November. So somehow, in the span of about a week, I'll give it 10 days at most. I'm expecting to hear back from them, and by that point, we could be onto something. At least I think I'll be given some form of some form of an answer. And I because if they don't, I am absolutely going to raise hell with them, because obviously I had to supply them personal information and whatnot, and I want to know exactly what's going to happen to it. Now I've mentioned this before, but I know a fair bit about GDPR laws, and I know a lot of things about data protection. And guess what, guys? If you've ever had to been put in a situation where you've had to give away information like that to an employer, about and you haven't even been employed, you better chase them about this immediately, because guess what? There's a place I applied for about a month and a half ago, and they asked us about DBS and stuff like that, and I showcased my most recent DBS check, and they've also had to ask me for things like my national insurance, and I'm telling you right now, I'm going to get back in touch with them, and if I don't hear anything back from them for the next 3 days, I'm going to sue the living daylights out of them, because they absolutely should be telling me whether I've got it or not, because ever since I told them about, supply my DPS, showcasing I have no criminal convictions served or pending, I want to know exactly, well, what's the hold up, and why can't we do anything about this? Because if they don't give me a clear cut answer, and they don't outline exactly what's going to happen to my data, how do I know they're not just going to sell it off to the highest bidder? And then I'll get more phone calls from scam artists saying that they are trying to get me work, when it turns out they're not. You remember how I started this video saying I was in a good mood? Yeah, how quickly things change, even in the middle of 5 minutes. And then that's not even to get me started on, like, oh god, other things. Like, there are some websites out there, like called, I think there's one called Jobs BB or something like that. You know what you have to do for this website, ladies and gentlemen? Let me tell you exactly what. You have to pay a premium rate yearly subscription, 52 quid a year, or it could be as little as, let's say, 8 quid a month to go to this website so you actually apply for work. You've got to pay somebody in order to apply for work. That's a disgrace. And yeah, I've written to quite a lot of high profile people as well. I've even tipped this off to the press as well, saying, hey, I want people to look into this, because quite frankly, this is absolutely appalling. And people have said before about how difficult as well it is to find work, and then you get scumbags like these who are absolutely preying off the misery of other people. They are no more reprehensible than, I'd say, drug dealers, because drug dealers also prey on the vulnerabilities and the insecurities and the weaknesses of the very desperate. Because sometimes being out of work for however long it may be, it can drive people mad, it can drive people desperate, and you've also probably heard me say this enough times as well, is that desperate men will do very desperate things. Thankfully, I don't consider myself to be desperate, but this is not a time to talk about, desperation or anything like that. I think right now this is just a time to just say, I would at the very least, if we can at least get this right. I just want to get on with it and just start. And I don't understand, as I said before, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to change, or because I can't turn around and start saying, my name is Luke Elliotson. I'm not going to start lying about who I am. I'm not going to start lying about how old I am, where I live, what sort of childhood I have, what qualifications I have. I'm not going to start. I think I'm a little bit above the thought of now starting to lie to people, because guess what? You treat people as you expect to be treated, and quite frankly, we need to raise the bar quite a lot higher than resorting to people who are lying. That's not the sort of people you want to associate with. So, truth and honesty all the way, and yeah, I feel a bit more empowered. I think is the way to describe how this day is better than the others. I feel empowered for the fact that, guess what? I've had time to think on it. I get time to go again, and if I fail today, I can only try again tomorrow. So it's not really end of the world stuff, but I feel we've got to get closer. We've got to get somewhere sooner or later. And well, there you are. And I will at least I could say at the very least I can certainly sleep easy knowing that, guess what, I can take pride in the fact that I'm actively doing something about this. Some people will literally lie in their pits for years and not even contemplate the idea, because they've grown to the idea that that's what life is all about. Greedy fat slobs, alongside the dull, boozing, witless porkers That's certainly not me, and that's certainly not what it's all about. There you go.